We have a very special guest all the way from New Zealand, Tony Small, good friend of mine. So Tony is the founder of Innocent Packaging, which, by the way, don't get it confused with Innocent Drinks. It's a different company. So he launched in 2013, launched in 4 cities. You've got
3 cities.
3 cities, sorry. 30 staff, right about, approaching 30, 20 to 30 staff.
19.
Yeah, 19 staff, there you go. And sells kind of sustainable packaging for companies.
Right.
So do you want to give a bit of a background story about
How we got started? Yeah, so 8 years ago I started a reusable coffee cup company. Previous to that I was working on yachts in France, and I was reading articles about ocean pollution and 58 billion coffee cups put in landfill in America alone each year, and I was like, this is just insane. Like, why we can't continue to keep doing this? So this is 8 years ago. Got back to New Zealand, and I've always wanted to be in business. I had no other idea. I was like, I'm gonna give this reusable cup company a go. And I started painting moustaches on cups and just selling them to friends. It was around November time, so we were donating some proceeds to Movember as well. Long story short, we did a Kickstarter campaign. We got funded. We ended up shipping to about 36 countries and exporting to Australia, Japan, and the UK. And we did that for about 18 months. And I got to a point one day where I realized that a lot of our customers were reusing these cups. Weren't reusing them. So they had bought them with the best of intentions. Like, I think it's kind of like a gym membership at New Year's now. Everyone's like, a gym membership and a reusable cup. And then 8 weeks later, they forget their cup, or it's crusty and it smells. And so I was like, I think we need to, for us to have impact, we need to simplify sustainability. It needs to be as accessible as renewable energy. Whether we turn the light on or off here, it could be coal or it could be wind. And I think it's the same. The cups that you guys are holding in your hands are made from plant starch, so there's no oil. And I think that's a huge advancement. The challenge that we're facing at the moment is getting those in the correct waste streams. But, so
Cool.
that's how we started. We started with coffee cups, and from there we've got about 150 products made from either plant starch or plant waste.
So what are your best-selling products? Like,
Yep, so still coffee cups. 5 years ago, I went on a meeting to win a customer, pretty big customer, and they told me that I was wasting my time getting into this industry. It's extremely competitive, and that I should get into sustainable toiletries. So I thought that was a really good idea. So I started up a side company called SmartAss, and we have a toilet paper brand that makes toilet paper from plant waste. So this is made from sugarcane, bagasse, bagasse, the waste. When you press sugar, you're left with this waste. They used to burn it, and we take that and we turn it into toilet paper, combining it with bamboo. So our biggest selling products are cups and SmartAss toilet paper.
amazing. Okay. So, like with a lot of new founders trying to build their businesses, they have problems with raising investment or running out of money. How did you kind of cope with that? You didn't raise any external investment. Were you kind of recouping the revenue and putting it back into the business, or how did you manage that?
So for the first almost 2 years, I didn't take any money. So I lived with my parents in a 2-bedroom unit. I was 28. It was tough. My mates were going out. I wasn't. Just put it all back into the business, and we haven't taken any money. I started the company with 20 grand. What was enough to buy New Zealand? What's 10,000 pounds? It is nothing. It was enough for one 20-foot container.
Yeah.
We got some traction. My parents are the most amazing people in the world. They remortgaged their house and they lent me 100K.
Whoa.
And that's it. That's all the funds we've had. So.
You were working out of your parents' garage for
a
while, right at the beginning?
Garage, lounge, anywhere could,
Yeah, amazing. Question about, like, basically there's a bit of a movement with sustainability. There's like, what is it? No, something X. What's the? I forgot the Extinction Rebellion. That's sorry. And a lot of kind of plastic bags. They're looking at banning them. Compostable cups, cafe cups. How are you kind of looking to the future with this movement? Like, how are you going to address it? Is it a bit of a trend? Like, yeah, have you got kind of plans?
Yeah, I don't think sustainability is a trend.
Yeah.
Like, I think we have to really change how we're living and how we're doing things. But I don't see us, you know, the best of us want Uber Eats on a Saturday or whatever it is, right? And I think if we all pretend that we're going to stop that, I think we're just going to end up in like a fake reality where nothing actually gets done. So I think we need to kind of continue what we're doing, but just make it all more sustainable. I think renewable energy, if you go to Brighton, I went there for the first time in like 10 years, 2 weeks ago, and you look out and there's all these wind turbines and it's just like so exciting. So I think that there's a way of almost having your cake and eating it too, but we probably just need to eat less cake.
Yeah, and is there new regulation coming in New Zealand like there was over here with plastic straws and things like
so
straws?
all over the world. Kenya was one of the first places to ban plastic bags, and they've gone really tough on it. Even President Fiat bought them. It's happening everywhere. Here they went with the levy. In New Zealand, we've banned them altogether. So not just plastic, they've also banned compostable plant-based single-use bags in New Zealand. And it's just because of the challenges with waste streams. And people get used to it really quick. You know, if we banned coffee cups globally, people would get used to it. But it will have an impact on those small businesses at the same time and those jobs.
Cool.
So.
And what have been the main challenges to your business today?
I've got a good
the ups and downs.
I mean, the biggest challenge is this year's been really tough. Like deciding to. So we got to we're one of the fastest growing companies in New Zealand. We got to a team of 14, and we've got 3 offices throughout New Zealand. And then I thought it would be a good idea to set up on the other side of the world, and it's been tough because you build this business and you get to a stage where you could probably enjoy it a little bit, and I was like, this is not what I want to do. And so I came over here and set up, and it's been a competitive year. Look, they've still seen a bit of growth, but we've slowed, we haven't grown as aggressively. Loads of challenges, and just trying to manage that while you're here is tough. And so anyone in business just will have mental, I don't know, actually I can't speak for anyone else. Me personally, my mind plays tricks on me, you know, and so you've just got to, for me, I've had to take a step back and just kind of not pay too much attention to those thoughts, if that makes any sense. It's really weird, but that's probably been the biggest challenge is me.
Cool, man. And you're pretty good your finger on the buzzer with like new product launches and releases and that type of thing. What are the new materials that are coming out you get your eye on that you think are quite cool?
A lot of innovation with coming back to bags, especially coffee bags. What they come in is being, you would think it would be easy to line it with plants over oil. It's actually really tough. So we're working on some innovation in that area. And then my favorite product is using anything that's waste. So wheat straw or sugarcane bagasse. Just taking waste, creating something, and then putting it into a compost. This is so exciting. So we try to innovate in those areas.
What about bamboo? That's quite.
Bamboo's awesome. Yeah, it's like it grows. I think it can in a day like 91 centimeters. It's phenomenal.
Wow.
But it's not a waste. For me, it's exciting.
Yeah.
You know, waste is just.
And are the products fully recyclable, or like only parts of the cups, or the entire product? Or?
So that's the advantage with compostables, and that's the challenge with recyclables, is that so with a coffee cup, as soon as you have paper and you line it, you need to separate materials. But then you've also got a lid, and then you've got 3 materials, and each need a different waste stream. So with compostables, it's one material, it's all plant-based. So you can put the whole thing in one bin, there's no separation. And the reason the majority of our waste, I think it's 5% of all plastics have been recycled since 1964. The reason it's so exciting with compostables is it's just one stream, it composts, and it turns into carbon, nitrogen, and organic matter, compared to separating oil, paper, and then the lid is also got to be recycled. But waste management companies, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Waste management companies make their money we pay for them to collect it. They don't get paid to recycle. So they've already been paid when they're collected. So there's no incentive to recycle them. You pay them to pick it up, and essentially you pay them to take your waste, and they can do whatever they want with it. And so that's why nothing's really been recycled. They've already made their money, and they make a lot of money. Like in Auckland, I don't know what it's worth here, but in Auckland, New Zealand, it's $1 billion industry. We've got 1.4 million people maybe. Here, it's multi-billion dollar industry, but they get paid for collecting it, not recycling it.
Interesting. Okay. So talking about your business, you obviously launched in a few markets in New Zealand. Why did you come to London? What was it about the market that interested you?
Brexit really excited me.
Wow.
No. We started supplying into Oslo and to Norway about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And through social media, everything's just so connected now. So we thought it was either, being a New Zealand company, most of us tend to go to Australia. What's also an exciting market, but business is such hard work and so much effort. So if you're going to do it, why not go for a really exciting market?
Yeah.
Right? So we thought, well, what's 20 more hours on a flight?
Sure. What about the American market? Are they conscious consumers when it comes to this stuff?
Yeah, it didn't have the guts. I like the dream for me is America. Probably not with this business, maybe something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
We just landed a contract in Chicago, so we're really excited about that. So who knows what will happen? But I don't know. It's just like how they govern and the laws and taxes. It's just I can't look at it. You know?
And are these products cost competitive with products which aren't sustainable, recyclable, that type of thing, or
They
are
are.
they becoming more?
Yeah. When it's pure PLA, so what the cup you have is called polylactic acid, that is going to be a little bit more expensive than PET, what's oil-based, but not huge difference. It's probably 20%.
Okay, cool. Obviously, building a team is a very important part of building a startup. Like, what advice would you give to new founders with team and culture and that type of thing, and hiring staff?
Trust your gut. Like, don't hire for the job, hire for the attitude. Just try and get the right people, and you know pretty quick who are going to be those key players. But you just want to work with good people that turn up, that work hard. But when you hire for the role, which we have done, and they've been the worst people we've hired, hire attitude every day over skill.
Yeah, cool. And we talked about challenges, but have there been any kind of pivotal moments during the journey that you've had?
So when we were about 9 or 12 months in, we really started to get some headwind, and we had a third-party logistics company that was doing all our logistics, and they were doing a terrible job. They were sending out noodle boxes instead of coffee cups, and when a cafe receives noodle boxes, they can't put their coffee in it. And the cup was fine, but it was every other order. It was just a nightmare. So we decided to move, and they invoiced us for this month and next month and said it's due today. They were really pissed off that we were moving, and I had about, I think it was like $1,000 in the bank. Like I had no money. I think it was like even less than that, and it wasn't much money. It was like $5,000 that we owed them, and I had no money. And I was like, fuck, we can't get our fucking stock. Like we couldn't send orders the next day. And got back to our new office, and one of our customers had paid us just over $5,000. And I was like, you're fucking kidding me. And transferred it, and we got our stock.
Oh, well done.
But they were like, if you don't pick it up before 4 o'clock, So
make or break.
It was probably one of the worst.
If you kind of look back, if you had to give advice to, let's say, new founders or your former self, just starting off in business, what would be kind of, let's say, 3 tips that you give new founders? Maybe mistakes that you made along the way that you wish you didn't.
You're gonna make mistakes, right? They're unavoidable. You're gonna make them. You've just got to learn from them and not beat yourself up too much for them. best advice I would give, depending on where you are in life, like I don't have children, so I can work pretty hard, and looking back, I probably would have worked harder. But now where I am, I'm really conflicted at the moment because I'm like, I need to work this.
Yeah.
So like, it's hard to give that advice. You've just got to go at your pace.
Yeah.
But just go hard. I would have called the bigger players sooner. Don't be afraid. They're the nicest. The higher they are, the nicer they are. Don't worry about these guys down here to get traction. Call these guys up here
Which is
straight away.
interesting, but like you need some case studies
Sure.
to kind of go to them,
Yeah,
right? You've
definitely,
got
like,
no
cool book.
credibility.
Right.
So how would you manage that if you go, you're nobody, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're innocent.
Well, no. For me, like it took me probably 12 months to get the confidence
Okay.
to call the ones that I really wanted to win.
Sure.
Where I just said, call them now.
Yeah. And what are the size of the orders with these guys, the big players?
So like a good account for us is kind of, our biggest account's $1 million account, and our small accounts could be a couple of $100 in New Zealand.
Right.
So anything between, but a good size account here in the UK is probably $50,000.
Yeah, right. Okay, interesting. Yeah, look, I think, do you guys have any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you manufacture yourself, or is it outsourced?
We contract manufacture, so we don't own any equipment, but everything is made to our specs.
So, like, you come up with a new idea, then you study it, and then you pass it on to them. So that's
More or less, yeah. A lot of the molds already exist and we'll brand it. We're probably, like, when you break it down, we're probably a brand and marketing company.
What about competitors? Like, who
There's
are
so
the main?
many.
There are so many. Okay.
Horrible people. Yeah, no, don't use them.
Yeah. So does a lot of it come down to branding of the product rather than?
Well, it comes down to service and how
Okay.
genuine you are,
Yeah.
and I think we've all been sold so much for so long that we just want to buy good people that are actually going to look after our businesses and help us grow
Yeah.
and do genuine things, right?
And your factory is in like Shenzhen, China, or?
In China and Taiwan, so we've got a few factories near Guangzhou and then a few near Shanghai.
Right. Okay. And how do you manage those relationships? Is it all English speaking? Do you fly frequently to China? Or what's that?
It's the same as any relationship. So the more time you spend with someone, the stronger the relationship.
Yeah.
And so we try and go up there every sort of 9 months. I personally try and go up there every 9 months. And then like Nancy, who I've worked with for 6 years, she's our salesperson at our biggest factory,
Yeah.
and her and I talk probably every other day. She's awesome.
Do you see yourself needing to raise investment to get to the next stage, or you're quite happy where you're at? You're going to keep hustling in?
Depends what we want to do. So,
Yeah.
like, if we wanted to enter into America, then yeah, I think we would need funds. If we keep doing what we're doing, I don't know. Like, it's hard to really gauge
Yeah.
how fast we'll get momentum here in the UK. Look, we're heading in the right direction.
Sure.
But it could go like that, or it could go like that.
Yeah.
You know. So
Did you give equity away to your early staff, or no? Right. Okay. So you're complete control. What about your parents?
nothing.
Nothing.
Good retirement homes is what I've said.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So-
What's the factor that decides for you whether or not to scale?
What do you mean?
When do you decide, okay, now I'm in a good position and I want to scale up?
Right.
What's the linchpin?
For me,
Yeah,
personally.
yeah.
Honestly, I feel like a failure every day. Like, and then that's not like, oh, pity. Like, I just don't feel like I've done much yet.
Okay. So when you feel like you've done a lot
I don't know if I
enough.
will.
Okay.
Like, I don't, as an entrepreneur, I don't think you'll ever be able to fill that hunger.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I don't think it's about money. Like, for me, I don't want a Mercedes. Like, I don't want those nice things. Don't get me wrong, I would much rather live in a nice warm house than a shitty one, but that's not what I'm doing.
Are you looking to find or develop any other solutions for other issues with sustainability?
Not at the moment, but it's such a big market.
Like
There's so much.
expanding your products, developing new products?
Definitely new products, but they're very similar. They're in the same realm. But yeah, there's so much opportunity in the sustainability world for innovation. Yeah, but we're very focused on hospitality
When you open up your second and third office, and I presume you had 3 time zones, how did you deal with having 3 time zones? And you know, obviously wanting to, I presume you have 5 or 6 people directly reporting to you. You want to get back to them quickly to make sure that their productivity stays high. How did you deal with that? And
So it was just the one that was Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch. So we just had
Same time
three.
okay, but what about, okay, let's think London.
Yep.
Time there, I presume, what, 10, 11 hours in front of us?
Yep.
How did you deal with that? Do you stay up late, or do you set expectations that you
Yeah.
get back to them in the morning?
At the moment, with the way our time difference is, I prefer to have an early morning meeting
Yeah.
with them, and that's their early evening. Trust, you know, you've got to trust your team, and they know that I'm there 100%, and I remind them that all the time. Like, it's so fucking challenging, and we have constant challenges every day. I think the last 3 months have probably been the toughest, and not because we're here, but right now there's a shortage of PLA, that cut. Like, and there's nothing we can do about it. But we had a bad season of corn last, you know, because it's all plant-based now. And so, yeah, there's just challenges all the time. But you just have to trust them and let them know that look, I'll do anything. You know, if they're like, hey, we need you on a plane right now, let's go.
Yeah. Awesome.
How do you approach investors?
I've never approached any investors. We have had a few approach us, and I've always been shy about taking any funding on, because for me, more important than the money would be the relationship and who they are and what they bring to the table. So yeah, I've never approached any, but I've had a few conversations.
What advice would you give for people who need to?
Approach them.
Yeah.
I think just treat it like any other relationship, right? If you genuinely think you have a really good value proposition, then hit them. I mean, they're investors. Their job or what they want to do is invest in good companies, and if they think that's who you are and what you do, that they will invest in you more than the company probably does.
Attitude.
100%, yeah.
Anybody else?
How do you deal with stress? Like you mentioned the situation that you had where you had 1,000. How do you deal with stress in order for you to, you know, remain effective in your role?
It's such a good question. It's tough. It's really tough. I gave up drinking tonight, but I gave up drinking for Masters. I gave up drinking for 5 months, and that really helped. So I think if you're not a big drinker, look after yourself. Like, eat nutritious food. Vitamins are really good. I've struggled to sleep this year, so I'm taking magnesium, B12. There's hacks. You know, exercise is key. You've got to do that. And make it work for you. Not everyone wants to go to the gym, but it's so important. You've got to find that time for yourself. For me, early in the morning, meditation is really, really good. Really good. I don't do it every day, but it's awesome. It goes a long way. And then when you get really stressed and some days I'm like, oh, I can't work. You just have to take 5 minutes and just go away, just have a glass of water, and just chill out. You know, it's not as big as we think.
Did you had any made any partnerships right in the beginning? Because the hyper people keep on telling me I need to make this list of partnerships that I can make, but for me it's like literally it would be easy to raise the money. I have people that can invest, but I get stuck on this damn list of partnerships that I can make. Did you had any partnerships before you started, or right when you started, something I'll give you the products you try to sell, or exchange of one helping the other? Did you have anything like that in the beginning?
It's just been a real grind. I think the first account I signed was spending $200 a week with us. You know, but there was definitely companies I wanted to work with, but we didn't have a foundation of partners from the get-go. I think if you've got the opportunity, take it. Going back 6 years, if I could have accelerated everything, I would have.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Were there times where you thought you wanted to quit?
There has been this year, for the first time, I was ready to throw the towel in, yeah. And that's not because of London, we've just business is tough. Being sustainable is like adding another element. It's just, you criticize constantly. You have to really break down what you're actually trying to achieve and what you're doing, and it is really tough. Like, we're a tiny company in the scheme of things, and yeah, so once. But other than that, most Sundays feel like Christmas Day to me. I am so excited about Monday morning. I think we should get rid of weekends.
How long was from when you had an idea and then you came up with the brand and everything until you actually started selling? Like, how long did it take?
With the reusable cups?
Yeah, like the beginning, like right at the beginning when you start.
Yeah.
When was like you had the idea until you were selling your first product?
Yeah.
Because you went to you did a campaign and everything, but how long was that period?
It was probably about 2.5 years in between. But I've always wanted to be in business since I dropped out of school. So school wasn't for me. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 16, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I just wanted to be in business, but I came to London and got drunk for a long time. And then when I got home, I was like, I've got to give this a go. I've got to try it. And so for 2 years, I just kind of gave it everything. It was reusable cups, but I had a couple of side hustles because that was okay. We exported to all those countries, but it wasn't $1 million company. So I started importing stuff for a deal website like Groupon. Remember Groupon? I was doing like iPhone cases and stuff like that. And oh man, honestly, my parents' lounge was just covered in UGG boots. And I did like 10 grand worth of UGG boots in like 24 hours, but my margin was like that. I made like $500. I was gutted. Yeah, so it took me sort of about 2.5 years until I had a business that I loved and was passionate about.
I'm guessing that you're the sole founder of your business. Did you ever feel that you were at a disadvantage by being a sole founder? And if so, would you ever consider going out to bring somebody into the team as a co-founder or on your team who has the skill set that you don't necessarily have?
I never felt like I was at a disadvantage. One of our biggest competitors in New Zealand, there's 2 guys, and they do an amazing job. They're great competitors. They're partners, but we've always kept up, if not being a little bit ahead of them. At least I like to think they'd probably said the same thing. We're about to offer some equity to one person in particular who's our GM in New Zealand. He does an incredible job, and I think now that we're trying to expand globally, I probably can't run the whole thing by myself. So. But I think it's each to their own, right? The partners and the people and intent and turning up and just getting the job done. And I never felt like I was at a disadvantage. I think it has to work for you. I would love to have a business with someone, but at the same time, I'm glad that I've done it by myself as well. Does that help? All the answers.
Yeah.
And none.
One more question, maybe?
Not much of a question, but more like an advice. Obviously, it's different circumstances because you said you're living with your parents, but you had your side hustles, and so like on my circumstances are like I work for this company, and it consumes a lot of my time, like ridiculous. Anything between 16 hours a day or something crazy like that every single day. Even though my day off, my phone is constantly ringing, and I'm trying to do this business at the same time, right? And as you know, cost of living in London is absurd. When do you think it's the right time to say literally oh, fuck it, and I need to dive into what I'm trying to build? When was that moment for you as well? Obviously, like I said, different circumstances, but when was it that you were or what's your advice to when is this moment that you go like, I gotta try this, and if it goes wrong,
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
Do you guys live together? Are you?
It's my wife,
Yeah.
and she's pregnant. That's why I'm asking
Oh,
as well. Like,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
everything at the same
Congrats.
time. So she's
Yeah.
gonna like stop working for some time.
Right.
I'm building another business,
Yep.
but I work in this place that it's like the hours is it's ridiculous, and it's not too much responsibility as well
Yeah.
at this work, you know.
Could you go and get a job making coffee that pays the bills, that gives you no savings, that reduces your hours?
Oh, London is.
Making
I know.
coffee in London.
No, look, I'd like this. This
Yeah.
is something that you could do that gives you more time. Obviously, you're probably going to lose a little bit of money, but could you just cover your costs? Because if you're
Like
trying
right
to, like,
now,
are you trying to save as well at the moment?
yeah, like right now, I would say that it would be pretty hard. Like
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
to literally like change everything.
Yeah.
Like the house that I live in, the car that I like literally everything to be able to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
If well, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, maybe
But-
maybe that's it. Maybe you have to move to zone 3 or zone 4, and look, the way there's I think 2 ways of looking at it, and it's like you guys are in a pretty amazing circumstance. So you've got to look at that. But when you're 80, when you look back, are you gonna wish that you guys went and lived in zone 4 for 9 months?
Making sacrifices.
You get in smaller apartment.
Yeah.
I have
Like
an
stuff to
idea.
do.
You can retrain as a teacher, and then your hours are enough, and then the living expenses are enough to cover not like a lot of savings, and you get your time and still get to live in like zone 2.
Alright.
It's hard. I mean, you'll work it out, man. You know, you've got to tell you. It sounds like you're doing cool things anyway.
Got one more question. How much of it's down to luck versus hard work, skill, that type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Have you had much luck along the way, or has it been just grinding? What's
Yeah,
the kind
no,
of-
I think everyone gets lucky in business and certain, like in, actually I heard there was a TED talk about like launching a business
Yeah.
and the industry and stuff like that, and I think that plays a big part, but
Yeah. There's a timing
gotta-
element as well, right?
like I hate lotto. I don't buy lotto tickets because I would be devastated if I won, and I was like, I want to struggle to get that, you know,
Okay,
like,
yeah.
so if I won, I'd be like, you've ruined it. So I don't buy lotto tickets, but you have to have a lotto ticket to play, right? So like you've got to be putting yourself
Yeah.
in those opportunities, and then definitely there'll be luck, there'll be moments, there'll be networks, there'll be people that you meet,
Yeah.
and that comes down to luck.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So guys, some side left. Let's all have a chat and yeah. Go from there. Thanks for
Good
coming
for
along.
yourselves.
Awesome. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Help yourself to it.